All right, we'll call this meeting to order. Ms. Perry, will you call the roll for us?
Mayor Paul Bigger,
Here.
Vice Mayor Stephanie Dalton,
Here.
Commissioner Jamie Fairbanks Harvey,
Here.
Commissioner Pete Phillips,
Present.
Commissioner Hayes Wilkinson.
I'm here.
All right, for today's invocation, please join me in a moment of silence to reverently collect our thoughts, pray, and ready ourselves for this meeting and the duties to which we have been called. Thank you. Mr. Granum, will you please lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. First on our agenda is consideration of the minutes for approval or correction for our December 13th, 2023 special called meeting. Any corrections? If not, do I have a motion to approve as written?
I'll move. No.
I have a motion from Commissioner Phillips and a second from Commissioner Fairbanks Harvey. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Next, we have the minutes for our December 19th work session. Are there any corrections? If not, do I have a motion to approve as written?
I'll move.
I have a motion from Commissioner Wilkinson. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
We have a second from Vice Mayor Dalton. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Finally, our meeting minutes for December 19th, 2023 commission meeting. Any corrections?
I have one on page 15, C. No citizen comments. Resolution number 23-1640 was approved by the mayor, vice mayor, and Commissioner Wilkinson with a yes. And then Commissioner Fairbanks Harvey, that I believe should have read Commissioner Phillips voted no
That's right.
to the street sweeper.
Any other corrections?
Good eye, Jamie.
Just reading it in the homework.
Do I have a motion to approve as amended?
I'll move.
I have a motion from Commissioner Fairbanks Harvey. Do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
We have a second from Commissioner Phillips. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Next is my mayor's report. I want to welcome everyone back from a long hiatus and wish you all a happy new year. I want to recognize our hardworking public works team for keeping the city running smoothly even in record-breaking cold temperatures. We saw you out there before the storm hit, repairing our roads, keeping them clear, and even picking up trash in 6-degree weather. Our winter hats off to all of you. Thank you to everyone who came out to Red Bank photographer Megan Ledbetter's open house for her documentary project on the field. I want to thank the Trust for Public Land for commissioning her initial work and the Current Art Fund for helping her continue her project through the 4 seasons. Thank you to WUTC and Chattanooga Times Free Press for coverage of this important project, and I hope you will all keep an eye out for a formal exhibition of her photography of the field this fall. The meeting house will be open late tonight from 6 to 10 p.m., so I encourage all of you to go grab a coffee or tea after this, support a local business, and enjoy some time with your community. And finally, I don't have the date, Vice Mayor. Next Red Bank Community Food Pantry is this coming Thursday.
It's next Thursday.
Next Thursday.
First.
Yeah, it's February 1st.
February 1st, thank you. Next Thursday, February 1st from 4:30 to 6 p.m. You can sign up to volunteer at their sign-up genius at redbankfoodpantry.org. All right, and now we have our report from Vice Mayor Dalton.
Thank you, Mayor. Welcome, everyone. Hope you had a peaceful holiday season.
Thanks to all of you who signed up to volunteer for our MLK Day of Service in partnership with Green Steps to clean up our community. A rescheduled date will be announced soon, so keep an eye on the city social media pages for that information. On January 16th, the mayor and I attended the virtual Protect Tennessee Coalition meeting to discuss flood readiness, disaster preparedness, environmental protections, and more with our peers from across the state. We also learned about some legislation that will be looked at this session, including House Bill 1684, the Resilient Tennessee Revolving Loan Fund, and House Bill 1796, the Disaster Relief Fund. Both of these bills would be extremely helpful to Tennessee communities in not only recovering from a disaster quicker, but in developing and executing resilience projects. Sorry, there's some things that the mayor said that I was also planning to talk about, so I'm trying not to repeat myself. I also wanted to thank Red Bank neighbor Megan Ledbetter for her presentation last Friday on the field. I wanted to just piggyback and add that if you were not able to attend, you can check out the Times Free Press article on Megan's work entitled Hidden Stringers Ridge Gulch Might Be Home to 2,508 Bodies. I hope you'll join us tomorrow at our Red Bank Signal Mountain Council meeting from 11:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. We'll be meeting at the Red Bank Community Center, and $15 covers the cost of the meeting and lunch. Our speaker is Kyle Briner, CPA and manager at HHM CPAs, and he'll be going over things small businesses should know about taxes. A friendly reminder that the deadline to register to vote for the March 5th election is Monday, February 5th, and you can check your voter registration at vote411.org or locally on the Election Commission's website. From our local schools, I just wanted to congratulate Branston King of Alpine Crest Elementary, who was awarded the Rock Point Learning Community Student of the Month for positive behavior in December. And that Rock Point Learning Community consists of 18 schools, so that's really special that he was recognized. And then congratulations to the Red Bank Elementary robotics team, who will be going to East Tennessee State University this weekend to compete at the state level with drones. And additional congratulations to the Culinary Arts program at Red Bank Elementary on a recently awarded grant that will allow them to expand their community garden. And finally, I will echo a little bit what the mayor said. I wanted to say thank you to our staff that worked hard to keep our city services moving along during the extreme weather we experienced last week, but especially to our public works team for working all hours of the day to keep our roads safe, on top of all of the other services that they were continuing for our residents. And that's it. Thank you.
Next, we have a report from Commissioner Fairbanks Harvey.
I'll repeat, whoops. Couple of comments, a heartfelt thank you to Red Bank Public Works, police and fire departments for the dedication and efficiency last week during our challenging weather. And thank you for whomever, I don't know if it's police or public works, that put up the various speed zone signs. I've had to slow down to make sure I go 15. I think there's one on my street that's new at 15.
Yes.
Thank you. Did you do that on purpose? Speed detectors.
We know you love the block for keeping you safe.
There we go. And my neighbors. Yes, I appreciate another method of keeping us drivers safe and accountable. The last day to request an absentee ballot is February 27th, next month. And early voting period is Wednesday, February 14th to Tuesday, February 27th, with the election being March 5th. I need to mention this as a Red Bank commissioner. I was highly, highly disappointed that our planned special meeting did not make on Thursday, January 11th, that it was canceled on the 5th. It could have been a perfect opportunity for us to educate some residents who may have been there. I don't know, 105. At the moment, it was the DuPont grounds as opposed to the school property behind the middle and high school, which is now not a viable option. But either of those choices could have entailed information for our residents in case they needed that information, alongside Ben Connor, our school board member. I appreciate the opportunity to work alongside Vice Mayor Dalton to absorb topics of conversations and present noted ideas from this commission to the county commission and school board. Our residents and others included parents and child zoned families, Rivermont and Alpine, to be afforded the opportunity to be updated. I consider Vice Mayor and I as go-between. Now that it's been chosen that we're fourth, we've done our work. I did attend the Hamilton County Department of Education school board meeting last Thursday when the priorities were listed and publicly presented and discussed. And I thank all of the school board members for faithfully prioritizing that list to get it to the county commission. Timelines and funding for budgeting have yet to be determined. And even we have time, being fourth, that maybe there are other options for our school in Red Bank. The second Valentine for Veterans will be this Saturday, January 27th at the Community Center from 11 to 2. Link Sparks started this 35 years ago with our high school students to be celebrating respect for country and veterans. Today, Valentines are mailed to veterans around the world, middle school, elementary, high school from various states. It costs about $2 per card to send, and every veteran deserves a homemade thank you for his or her services. And donating to Operation Love, Valentines for Veterans, is P.O. Box 15413, Chattanooga, Red Bank 37415. To Miss Sparks, P.O. Box 15413. And Mr. Graham, I want to thank you for your service in the armed services and your family members as well. Applications are available for Red Bank Festival Committee. This committee meets once a month until the month preceding the event, which we met to review the December event parade. And now we're meeting next Wednesday to get started on the Jubilee. That will be May 4th. And the commitment is either for 2 or 3 years. Jeffrey Grabe is the director. And finally, my next Listen and Learn, which was postponed last week, will be Monday, February 19th at Sabor at the intersection of Signal Mountain Boulevard and Dayton Boulevard from 6 to 7. Thank you.
Next, we have our report from Commissioner Phillips.
Yeah, thank you all for coming. There's not a big crowd here, but a dedicated crowd. And again, I mean, echo in the public works, they come and got my trash, but I didn't feel like taking it to the road. So, but anyway, y'all done a great job. Like I said, the roads is clear, but I didn't leave, so, and thanks to our staff for just continuing the great work they're doing. Another clean audit report from John Alexander. I mean, as our city manager says, we're operating on a level of excellence. So thank you for all you do.
Finally, we have our Commissioner Wilkinson's report.
Okay, I'm gonna echo what everybody else said. Just give a very heartfelt thank you to all the city employees who were out working last week. It was a tough week to work, and y'all did a great job. So, the only other thing that I had was wanted to give major props to Mayor Holly Berry for representing our city well on the Chattanooga Civics podcast. It's a great listen. They discussed the structural differences in how Red Bank is run versus Chattanooga and some other municipalities. It's good listen. I work with the producer, Mr. Nathan Bird, who is on the Chattanooga Planning Commission. So there's a level of competence in the conversation, and I think our mayor did a great job representing the city. So give it a listen.
All right, and we have also a report from our city manager, Mr. Martin Granum.
Thank you, Mayor. At the sound of being redundant, I'll go through my prepared comments. I do want to thank you, Commissioner Jamie Fairbanks Harvey, for the kind words on the stop sign. So we are increasingly attempting to be responsive as a city to the concerns of residents and commission members about speeding on our streets. And we're putting together a team internal to the city, which will have our law enforcement, public works, planner, myself, really take a look at this issue. Some of these issues are vexing. And those particular stop signs and four-way stops that you mentioned, Commissioner Fairbanks Harvey, we've heard good and bad comments about them. Believe it or not, some people are quite off-put that we're interrupting their commute to their home, and others are profoundly grateful. So it's a mixed bag when we make a change in our roadways like that. And so we need to be intentional and deliberate, follow all the rules. There's guidance to stick on, what we can do on the right of way. And so compliments to you, Greg. Greg tends to be on the receiving end of a lot of those phone calls, and some are very happy and some are not very happy. So thank you, Greg. The city appears to have successfully navigated the recent period of inclement weather. Each of the major departments that provide service directly to the public, police, fire, court, and public works, all sustained a level of service during that event that for the most part matched the demand. While each department went above and beyond during the inclement weather, I want to particularly commend our public works crews. The road crews pre-treated the roads Sunday night before the storm and sustained their road clearing efforts throughout the entire inclement weather event. I am profoundly pleased with their dedication and the results. Thank you to our road crew. Similarly, our sanitation crew collected trash on back-to-back days of 6 degrees Fahrenheit and 16 degrees Fahrenheit. That's pretty darn cold for Red Bank. And their work to keep our city clean, safe, and functioning is also profoundly appreciated. Thank you to our sanitation crew. Going into the storm, the city leadership team was concerned about a variety of things. We were concerned about space heater fires. We were concerned about spontaneous water main breaks. We were concerned about a spike in vehicle crashes. And we were concerned about significant staff attrition. And we did encounter some. The reality is some of our key staff live not particularly close. And so those who came in, I'm profoundly grateful. Some couldn't and shouldn't. And there's no critique of somebody who was confronted with a driveway that was steep and icy, and they made the correct call. But those who did come in sustained us. And I mentioned matching demand. As inclement weather sets in, the demand for services wanes, and our ability to meet that demand wanes. And typically speaking, it's a pretty good match. If those who can come in from the city do come in, we're able to sustain that demand for service appropriately. And I'm truly grateful for everybody on the city team who was able to come in and could come in. And I'm also respectful of those who had to call in and stay home. That was the right call, and that's an individual call. Well, with respect to that set of circumstances we were concerned about, thank God, none of that came to pass. I commend members of the public who made wise and prudent decisions in light of the weather, and I salute our city staff who sustained essential services in the face of a daunting inclement weather event. Kudos to all. Looking ahead, we're on tap for up to 6 inches of rain in the next 4 days, with periods of moderate to heavy rainfall Wednesday through Saturday. So please be prepared for a wet and soggy week ahead. Lastly, a shout out to the Red Bank Lions Club, who invited all city staff and their families to a delicious appreciation dinner at their facility on Saturday, the 13th of January. I personally enjoyed dining with a group of firefighters that evening. It's a very good feeling to be supported and appreciated by the community as we strive to provide the excellent services the city depends upon. Thank you, Red Bank Lions Club, and thank you, Mayor.
All right. We'll move now into unfinished business. Now, the first item is ordinance 23-1251. An ordinance of the city of Red Bank, Tennessee, amending the zoning ordinance and maps of this city to rezone property located at 201 Memorial Drive from R1 residential to R3 residential pursuant to certain restrictions. This is our second and final reading. We had a reading and a public hearing at our previous meeting in December. And now this is our second reading and a vote. So do I hear a motion to approve?
I'll move.
We have a motion from Commissioner Phillips. Do I hear a second?
I'll move. I'll second.
We have a second from Commissioner Fairbanks Harvey. Any further discussion? For anyone who was not present in December, this is a request to rezone a property on Memorial Drive near the train tracks from R1 to R3. And this was for the applicant to allow them to do a short-term rental at that location, which is not allowed in R1. And it was recommended by staff and our planning commission to approve this rezoning. And the zone was appropriate to the surrounding uses because there were multifamily properties flanking this property. Does everyone think I characterized that accurately for a
Yeah.
summary?
I walk by it frequently and there's, quadruplex and duplex and different,
Right around it.
yeah.
Right, is a single family structure
Yeah.
that was beautifully remodeled
Mm-hmm.
on the site of that.
There's a school bus on the property. I meant to ask him what he's gonna do with the school bus, but I can ask him.
Maybe
sometime.
that's the Airbnb.
what?
Maybe that's the Airbnb.
The second Airbnb.
That's right.
School bus is a premium. All right. Any further discussion? All right. Any comments from the residents present? If there are no more comments, then Ms. Perry, will you please call the vote for us?
Mayor Barry,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Dalton,
Yes.
Commissioner Fairbanks Harvey.
Yes.
Commissioner Phillips.
Yes.
Commissioner Wilkinson.
Yes.
All right, motion carries on second reading. Moving on to new business, we have resolution number 24-1642, resolution of the city of Red Bank, Tennessee, to authorize an agreement between the city of Red Bank and the Financial Commission for the Appalachia High Intensity Drug Trafficking Areas Program Grant, totaling $19,000 for the police department. Chief Seymour.
Good evening. This is just our annual recurring approval for our participation with the DEA as part of this. And so part of that, they help cover our costs. So this is not necessarily matching funds. They help cover any overtime costs that our employee might incur. So.
All right. Do I hear a motion to approve?
I'll move.
We have a motion from Commissioner Wilkinson. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
We have a second from Vice Mayor Dalton. Any further discussion? All right. Any comments from the residents present? There's no further comments, then we'll call the vote. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Next, we have resolution 24-1643, a resolution authorizing an agreement between the city of Red Bank, Tennessee and RJ Young Company for replacement and licensing for 3 Sophos firewalls, licensing for a 4th Sophos firewall, and engineering services for installation and setup in the amount of $18,723.05. CIO Seymour.
So this, I didn't mention this other, of course, RJ Young is our managed IT service provider that we acquired, and so they provide these services to us. And so this is time to replace our current firewalls, and so this includes the replacement of hardware along with licensing, and it pays for the setup and then coming on site and doing all the background stuff. These funds will be used out of the ARPA fund.
All right. Do I hear a motion to approve?
I'll move to approve.
I have a motion from Commissioner Fairbanks Harvey. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
We have a second from Vice Mayor Dalton. Any further discussion? Any comments from the residents present? There's no more discussion. We'll call the vote. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Next, we have resolution 24-1644. A resolution of the Board of Commissioners of the City of Red Bank, Tennessee, authorizing professional service agreements with Barge Design Solutions and Volkert Inc. for on-call traffic engineering consulting services. Director Tate.
Deputy Director Leslie Johnson put out an RFQ back in December for this very thing for on-call transportation engineering services. We received 2 replies back, one from Volkert Incorporated and the other from Barge Design Consulting. And both of the consultants returned their qualifications and their fees were scheduled. And we are requesting that both of these, your approval to enter into contract with both of these for on-call traffic engineering and consulting services for multimodal traffic and transportation. We do have the documents from both companies that if anybody would be interested in looking at those, I have those available. But that's what this resolution is for, to approve the contract for on-call services.
I have a question, Greg. What's the responsibility of the traffic?
Okay, well,
Study?
for instance, we've developed an initial priority list
Yeah.
for some services that we require, and one of those is Ashmore Avenue, the south end of Ashmore Avenue, where we have the slide. And we'll be able to hire either of these companies to come and do an assessment and recommend, they won't be performing anything other than professional services needed for us to make a decision on how to best handle that. And then we have another one that's over on Pine Breeze going over into Chattanooga. There's a storm culvert that's failing under the road. It's been that way for years. It's not actually failing, it's just out of alignment, but it needs to be fixed. And they'll be able to come in and offer us design solutions on how we can go about fixing that. And then we will come back at that point in time and, request funds to make those repairs.
Okay, thank you.
This makes it much more efficient because we're not
Yes.
having to put out an RFQ every
Every
single
time.
time we need a project or study completed.
Exactly.
Okay.
There will still be RFPs to follow,
Mhm.
once we decide what needs to be done, but you're exactly right. Streamlines our processes.
Especially for these smaller one-off projects
Yes.
like you're describing, and not necessarily repaving, the north end of Dayton Boulevard or
Well,
whatever.
and they'll be able to provide other services, like look at traffic counts, traffic studies, and be able to tell us, what options we have for, 3-lane, right sizing, restriping, just a host of other services they can provide for us.
Cool. Thank you.
All right. Do I hear a motion to approve?
I'll move.
We have a motion from Vice Mayor Dalton. Do I hear a second?
Second.
We have a second from Commissioner Wilkinson. Any further discussion? Any comments from the residents present? If there's no more discussion, we'll call the vote. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Next, we have resolution 24-1645. A resolution of the Board of Commissioners of the City of Red Bank, Tennessee, authorizing the purchase of one 2023 Police Interceptor utility all-wheel drive vehicle for the amount of $36,879 from Lonnie Cobb Ford for the Police Department. Chief Seymour.
Yeah, this is just approval we budgeted for this vehicle in this year, as part of debt services. So as part of a loan for that. And so, this is being purchased off a state contract price.
And this is for our new officer.
Correct.
All right. Do I hear a motion to approve?
I'll move.
We have a motion from Commissioner Wilkinson. Do I hear a second?
I'll second this one.
We have a second from Commissioner Phillips. Any further discussion? Any comments from the residents present? Okay, if there are no more comments, we'll call the vote. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Next, we have resolution 24-1646. A resolution of the Board of Commissioners of the City of Red Bank, Tennessee, authorizing the unbudgeted purchase of one 2023 Police Interceptor utility, a whole-wheel drive vehicle for the amount of $36,879 from Lonnie Cobb Ford for the Police Department. Sounds familiar, Chief?
It is a little difference though. So this one is unbudgeted, but a little bit of backstory as we kind of covered in the work session. It's taken us 18 months to get these other vehicles in that we ordered. Actually, this one that you just approved was actually kind of from 18 months ago. And so they actually have it on a lot with our name on it, waiting for us to get that approval. So similar here, they said, hey, we got another one with your name on it. Do you want it? And so instead of waiting after July 1 to order this vehicle and then waiting it being gone and then waiting, I don't know, 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, we just don't know the supply chain. We do know it's a while. This is an opportunity to grab up that vehicle to then go ahead and get it this year instead of planning on getting it next year. This would require some type of budget amendment, looking at using kind of the general fund balance for the purchase of this. We would absorb we absorb some of the costs for the outfitting and all out of our current budget. So,
So a car on the lot's worth two on order.
right. And with the ordering of this one, this would replace another vehicle. We'll roll down vehicles and ultimately it'll lead to getting rid of our old vehicles that are 12, 14 years old and have a lot of miles on them.
Okay.
Now, we still got to outfit all these cars, put cages in and all that stuff.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
And that's taking 3 to 6 months or longer. It's just
Okay.
unreal, but
What about the computers? They still, you don't need new computers.
we have the computers for them.
Okay.
Part of that was out of the drug fund, we used those, but we also had funding through the Tennessee Highway Safety Office that helped provide students for grant funding to provide the computers and even make some radar units for the vehicles. So we've been able to get funding for a lot of some of the equipment for these. And like in-car cameras, that's already been approved. So,
All right. Do I hear a motion to approve?
I'll move.
We have a motion from Commissioner Wilkinson. Do I hear a second? I'll second. Any further discussion? Any comments from the residents present? If there's no more discussion, we'll call the vote. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? You said in favor?
Yeah.
Okay, motion carries. Next, we have resolution 24-1647. A resolution authorizing the city of Red Bank to participate in and accept the State of Tennessee Department of Commerce and Insurance, Tennessee Law Enforcement Hiring, Training, and Recruitment Program Cost Sharing Recruitment Grant in the amount of up to $200,000 for the Red Bank Police Department. Chief.
this just allows us to be able to accept the money that the state provides to help recruit out-of-state or non-certified officers. It allows a bonus up to $10,000 to be paid over like a period of 3 years. And so this allows us to be able to recruit and advertise for better officers, coming into the department and kind of open that up. So there's nothing that comes out of our budget for that. I was just reading some of the notes. It's when it's time to pay them the bonus, we send the invoice into the state. They give us the funds. We have to disperse it within 30 days. From what I was reading, seems like there's a couple of things that do contradict, but I have to look into it further. But it allows for out-of-state officers. It also allows for, it appears that any officers in state or out of state that don't have any experience to be able to get this bonus. But I need to look at it a little bit more to verify that, obviously. So that's what this is for. It's allow us to use the state funds to be able to disperse bonuses to the officers.
Okay.
That qualify.
Do I hear a motion to approve?
I'll move.
We have a motion from Commissioner Fairbanks Harvey. Do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
We have a second from Commissioner Phillips. Any further discussion?
Well, I mean, this is just kind of pretty much, this helps relocation or anything like that, that we don't have to come out of our pocket. We can
There's
use
incentive.
this grant.
Right. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Hiring is very competitive in your field,
Mhm.
is my understanding. All right. Any comments from the residents present? If there are no more comments, we'll call the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Next, we have resolution 24-1648. A resolution of the Board of Commissioners of the City of Red Bank, Tennessee, authorizing the purchase and installation of ADA accessible automated door openers closers at 2 locations, one being at City Hall at 3105 Dayton Boulevard, and the other at the Police Courts Building at 3117 Dayton Boulevard, that's this building, in Red Bank, Tennessee, in the amount of $10,440 for the Public Works Department. Director Tate.
Thank you, Mayor. In 2019, the city received a commissioned ADA assessment from Weiser Consultants that took a look at all of our municipal facilities to include parks, fire departments. And at this time, the time of the assessment, this was the City Hall and Police and Courts Building. Shortly thereafter, in 2019, they delivered the report, and in that report, it did not include any ADA assessments of the current City Hall at 3105. And most of the ADA assessments were baked into the remodel at the time. But since then, we have received numerous complaints about the doors on the front of the building being extremely heavy. And so the city manager and I, in previous conversations, and possibly some of you as commissioners, have mentioned that to us. And I had Justin Hedrick take a look, our facilities manager take a look, and he came up with an aftermarket solution for some motorized devices to be put on the doors there, as well as the ones here in this building. We figured we might as well go ahead and do both, because we have a legal requirement to make progress in ADA standards citywide. And we have done most of the small tasks. We have some large tasks that require lots of money, like regrading parking lots and things like that we will bake into our capital improvements plan going forward. But this appeared to be low hanging fruit, and we thought we had it in a lesser amount, but due to this type of work, it's hard to find somebody that can do it. There's only one company regionally that does it, and it doesn't matter if you hire Enswanger or if you hire A&A Glass or ABC Glass, they all turn to this company to do it. So, and this company was the cheapest one. So that's what this resolution is for, $10,440 to put automatic door openers and closers on this building in City Hall for ADA purposes.
And I'm just kind of curious, how did we get the city hall over there built? Because this is back what 19 we was all here, right?
Right.
And they was remodeling. When they remodeled, they didn't put an enter. Can't believe that wasn't part of the budget over there.
Well, they did incorporate all of the required ADA components,
Okay.
Such as in bathrooms, the sinks are the right height.
Okay, but so the door closers are not mandatory.
They're not mandatory. They're not mandatory.
Okay, all right. Well, I guess that explains
But-
that then.
But when you have.
Well, if you're in a wheelchair, they are.
For what it's worth, when they did build that building, the curb ramp was too high in front of the building. So Tim Thornberry at the time had them cut out the front of the building there and redo the curb ramp for wheelchair access.
Yeah, I remember that being happening. So
So,
yeah.
So we did look at those things as that building was being remodeled, but, we were getting new glass doors, wasn't a requirement, but after many complaints from some of our senior residents, it was the right thing to do.
Yeah.
I don't know how many times John's had to jump up, run up, open the door for somebody because he has a direct line of sight to them.
Till February.
Till February.
Also, my 8-year-old. So,
Yes.
yeah, my 8-year-old has struggled to open that door many times, and so have I.
Right.
So I'm
So is
grateful.
John.
I'm grateful to see this on here. I know this was unbudgeted.
Unbudgeted, yes.
And so I was gonna ask, the funds are coming from the general fund balance?
They will have to be, there's a possibility that they can be absorbed in the public works budget
Okay,
at the end of the year without having to do a budget amendment, but that will be our option.
that you
To do it.
might have some wiggle room in your
Right.
budget
Yes,
to
ma'am.
absorb that cost. Okay, but we did end up with a $175,000 surplus from last year, so we have a little bit of wiggle room there, right?
I hope.
Would you say? I mean, just
Yeah,
saying that we,
there's a few things that are doing better than we projected.
okay. And you said that, I think you said this, but that a lot of the lower cost ADA improvements have already been done.
Yes, ma'am.
So we're now we're getting up into the higher cost items.
Right, we're getting up to capital improvement projects.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, any other discussion? Do I hear a motion to approve?
We'll move.
We have a motion from Vice Mayor Dalton. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
We have a second from Commissioner Fairbanks Harvey. Any further discussion? Any comments from the residents present? If there are no more comments, we'll call the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next, we have Resolution 24-1649, a resolution authorizing an arrangement with the Tennessee Technical University, TTU, to accept 3 electrical vehicle EV charging stations valued at $4,158 through a Department of Energy, DOE, federally funded grant program administered by TTU via the Rural Reimagined Project for the Public Works Director. for the Public Works Department. Just for you.
In your driveway.
For the Public
You're
Works
welcome, Greg.
Department. Director Tate.
Thank you, Mayor. In September, our city manager went to an EV expo. Is that how you would describe it? At Chattanooga State. And he ran into a professor from Tennessee Tech, Dr. Chin, I believe is his name, and struck up a conversation which turned into a relationship that introduced the city manager to the Rural Reimagined Project, which is administered through the Department of Energy. And their vision is to just sporadically install EV charging stations and try to build an ad hoc network across the Appalachian region, which Hamilton County is a part of. That's why it's called the Rural Reimagined. It's, I think Chief Seymour was talking about his grant. They mentioned the Appalachian region. And so this is similar. And they are willing to provide 3 charging stations, 1 dual type 2 charging station and 2 single head charging stations for free of charge. The value that's listed there is at $4,158. That is the value if you had to buy these from their website, these 3 charging stations. And in so doing, and us accepting this, it will allow us to put these in public spaces. And then we'll discuss that further here in just a moment. But that is this resolution to accept this grant and be part of this Rural Reimagined Project.
What's the wattage on these, do you know?
I've got the information. They're 32 amp systems.
Okay.
Yeah.
A Type 2 charger,
Okay, so,
so they're not particularly fast and they're not.
all right, so these would be what they call destination charger kind of.
Right. exactly.
Right, okay.
Was that through
Not a
Tennessee
speeding charge.
Tech's engineering department?
Professor Chen is, gosh, I can't remember.
He is an automotive and transportation engineering department is
With
what he-
Tennessee Tech.
with Tennessee Tech.
That's cool.
And they have just been the recipient. I'm sure they get funding through this grant by being the middleman.
Yeah.
You know, to help in this distribution. This is going on, from what I've been able to read, this is going on all over the country in rural areas that qualify, such as us in Hamilton County. It's not just, this is not just this one location, but it's, I've read, actually, I think I turned in an article in Johnson City, where their city had already done this, and they set some up, and apparently they've already got a EV charging station network that they're building in Johnson City, and part of it is through this very program. But it's going on in Florida, Texas, and other places that I was able to read
Is
about.
it typically through universities or?
I think the federal program finds a willing partner in each of the regions. Tennessee Tech is that willing and designated partner. It's a 5-state region. It goes up into Kentucky, Virginia, North Carolina. Tennessee is one of 5 states that Tennessee Tech is the designated, I'll use the word implementer of this federal program. I don't know that it has to be a university. It seems to be a very good fit. Justin and I actually drove up when we got these and met Dr. Chen at Student Union, had a cup of coffee and walked into his building, and it is kind of odd. It's very much an academic setting where we met him and had the conversation, and then we walked into the bowels of the university to their facility maintenance shop and their warehouse unit and that's where they're storing them. So it's really kind of an unusual thing that a university is brokering this hardware, but it seems to work, and it was a fun visit. First time I'd been to Tennessee Tech.
It's not school.
And I'll share with you some of the conversation that Mr. Stoltz and I had, you know, when I was trying to piece this together, because I think I had about 4 pages long. But he was asking about the cost of the city and the city having to pay for the services on these charging stations. But once we accept them and they're installed, there's an app that residents will have to put on their phone, and it will identify the charging stations. They have to have their own credit card loaded into the app, and they have to reserve a time, and then they can come up and plug into it. And the money goes to, it's called EV Match. It's an app that they have. The money goes into that, but then we set the rate for what we charge for the charging cycle. We set the rate, and then the app gets 10% of that. So we can adjust the charging rate to include, you know, projected maintenance, or, you know, maybe we could raise it up, make it a little bit high for right now till we reimburse the cost of the installation. We've got options there. So we get to set the rate. We don't have to pay out any cash, or we don't have to pay for any long-term services for credit card applications or credit card delivery and so forth. But that's all handled through the app. And part of what's going to follow this includes funding to set these up and get the software connected to the city.
All right.
So I guess the rate would be set depending on what we would end up having to pay EPB, right?
Right.
Like,
Right. It will be, we'll have to set in the next resolution that follows this one.
Mhm.
We'll talk about the installation and
Okay.
having to get a new transformer set and the cost involved in that. And then there'll be an electric bill to the city, but then we'll receive revenue from the app
oh, I see.
for the use.
That's great. Thank you.
All right. Do I hear a motion to approve?
Move.
We have a motion from Vice Mayor Dalton. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
We have a second from Commissioner Fairbanks Harvey.
Yes, sir.
Any
Go ahead.
any further discussion?
No.
All right. Any comments from the residents present? If there are no more comments, we'll call a vote. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Next, we have a related resolution, number 24-1650. A resolution authorizing an agreement with Allied Electrical for the installation of electric vehicle EV charging equipment and parking lot lights at the city-owned parking lot located between 3117 and 3127 Dayton Boulevard for an amount not to exceed $20,041 for the Public Works Department. Director Tate.
Thank you, Mayor. Once upon a time in a galaxy far, far away, the city called Red Bank wanted to install charging stations. And here we are.
Now that we've accepted them.
Now that we've accepted them. So once this became a thing, we got to look, and Justin Hedrick worked with our friends at EPB and determined what needed to be done. And he got this quote from them. The $20,041 is to install a new transformer at the corner of the parking lot where these the dual head charging station will be installed. And it also includes, if you remember back in, what was it, September, we had the open house. And I guess it was October, and it got dark on us rather quickly. And right now, there was no parking lot lights outside. So when everybody leaves here, it'll just be what little bit of light comes off the building. So he combined the two, Justin did, to get a price for installing lights and the transformer, and have all that done at one time with a certified electrical contractor, because EV Match, who's providing the charging stations and the software, requires that their charging stations be installed by an EV Match certified electrician, which Allied Electric, who we frequently use, is. So they also submitted the lowest bid, and in approving this, you're approving parking lot lights and the EPB service charges to install the charging station.
This is right here.
Right here.
And I'll add, I think these will be the first publicly accessible EV charging stations in Red Bank, is my understanding.
Mhm.
Is that? This is exactly what they're trying to do. The federal dollars is trying to go into EV charging deserts.
Yeah.
And
Well, and in all fairness, and depending on which brand you have, there is, if you can't get to a Tesla charger, right, then this gives you that option. And the Apple, there was one of them, the guy that done my CMAQ grant, Jonathan Overly from University of Tennessee, that he's very big on this whole EV thing too. So. But it was kind of like getting a corridors, that was opening to get to where that we're part of, and we'll be part of that corridor then. So
we had a lot of discussions. It turns out it's just easier for us to do it if we own the real estate. You could come up with other locations that might be more convenient and maybe get higher utilizations, but we don't own the real estate, and you kind of get all tangled up in trying to talk to a landlord or a business owner, and it just, in terms of getting an EV charging station in quickly and taking advantage of this grant, we decided we would shop from our own properties. And this footprint here offered the best we felt for a destination, so people can come here and spend an hour or 3 at a commission meeting or for court or maybe it's staff. I think 3 of the 6 elected officials from Red Bank drive EVs. Not to say this for them, but it's an interesting metric on there is a demand for EVs. And so it seemed reasonable that in this city-owned footprint, right on Dayton Boulevard, very high vis, very secure. And if you want to walk somewhere, there's a little convenience store about 2-minute walk away. So it's not ideal from the standpoint of being a destination, but because it was city-owned space where we could just make the decision and do it, that's really why we offered this as the first opportunity.
The pickleball courts are a destination though.
Well, there's going to be one there. We actually have a plan to put another one in on Unaka, that little sidewalk path that goes basically from the pickleball courts along the side of the Masonic Temple and comes into Unaka there. We're planning on putting one there as well.
But that's not part of this resolution. That'll be a separate.
That'll be separate because we've not yet determined what the cost is gonna be for electrical upgrades.
And as Greg mentioned, there is a little bit of an ability to tinker with the rate. So we could chip away at this capital cost that the city is fronting. So that is really the ask, is to accept the free hardware, fund the capital cost, and then get this thing going and see what the demand is.
Then have restaurants built nearby.
Literally, put Red Bank on the map.
Yep.
When you pull up an EV charger, Red Bank will show up.
All right.
Mr. Tate, one question. How many parking lot lights are there gonna be, do you know?
There will be 4.
Okay.
4 LED. I think they're gonna be taller, but they're gonna be similar to the ones there at City Hall. We have 3 there.
Okay.
But
Are
yeah,
they time sensor or just their
They're
own?
they're gonna be,
mark?
Dusted on.
they're gonna be on a timer.
Yeah, okay.
Because that's what most of the lights around this building are, on a timer. Justin and I, we discussed that, and I think that was our decision. And that was because of some logistics issues and some mechanical issues. It was just easier to put them on a timer.
Okay.
And that way they can be adjusted as needed.
Those are going to be downward directed LED lights,
Right.
I assume.
Orange
Right.
guy.
Yes. Do I hear a motion to approve? We have a motion from Commissioner Wilkinson. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
We have a second from Commissioner Phillips. Any further discussion? Mr. Falls.
One of the hardest things I do is keep my mouth shut. And as I think all of you know, I've been sort of in this seat for over 40 years. And sometimes the momentum of the city has been to tend towards reactive rather than proactive. And I think this is one of the most proactive and forward thinking and visionary type things that I've ever seen the city do in the 40 years that I've been here, more than 40 years I've been here. I congratulate all of you for doing this. I think it's going to work out and turn out really well and will lead to more and more and better things. I maybe should have kept my mouth shut.
We're feeling pretty good about ourselves.
Yes, we'll take that high praise from you.
My dog likes to be
Yourself any
stroked,
day.
you know what it is?
We appreciate your kind words, Mr. Scholes.
And confidence.
Yes. Any comments from the residents present? All right, if there are no more comments, we'll call the vote. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Next, we have Resolution 24-1651, a resolution approving an agreement between the City of Red Bank, Tennessee and Waycaster CPA LLC to provide professional services for the Finance Department in an amount not to exceed $50,000 for fiscal year 2024. Mr. Brandon.
Thank you, Mayor and Commissioners. This little 4-pager that I provided to you is available to the public on our work session agenda at the website as well. And in short, we have the imminent departure of our long tenured and well-respected CFO on the 17th of February. And so this is a game plan to bring on a consultant. We're going to do some internal realignment of staff and organization. But this is the companion and a key component of us bridging the gap, about a 6-month gap. is bringing on Waycaster CPA LLC, a woman-owned local small business with incredible experience in this very thing. She actually worked for our auditor, Johnson Murphy and Wright, and then put out her own shingle as a CPA, and has done great work for 3 other cities in Hamilton County. In a similar situation with their departure of the CFO, and they needed the help in that interim until they replaced their CFO. So she comes highly recommended, and Director of Administration Perry and I have both sat down and met with her, and she's good company. So she's going to fit right in with everybody at City Hall.
All right. Do I hear a motion to approve?
I'll move.
We have a motion from Commissioner Wilkinson and a second from
Yeah.
Commissioner Phillips.
Do you work?
Any further discussion?
I had I had a question, Mr. Granum, if you could, you made a passing comment about this, but you know, the total that she's predicting or estimating, because obviously she won't, it's not exact, we don't know until she's actually doing the work, but is a little under $24,000 from February to June. So that's 5 months. And you're asking for up to $50,000 because you said you are expecting her to do some additional work beyond that. I'm assuming it's the maybe 4 weeks or so of like kind of onboarding a new CFO in the future. I'm just not sure that it would get up to that amount. So I was just wondering if you could talk to that. I mean, if I'm looking at these numbers and hours.
Yes, ma'am, absolutely. So the 50,000 is sort of a worst case. I don't think we're going to need quite that much, but I didn't want to bump into a cap from the resolution itself. And that was the consultant, just with a brief conversation, said, well, give me a proposal. And so she gave us that one, and it's around $24,000. And I think it's low, but I don't think it's an order of magnitude low. But that's why I'm asking for 50. That will get us to the end of the fiscal year. I don't anticipate needing 50, but I didn't want to, undertake this thing and then immediately come right back. She will probably be on board in exactly the same capacity on 1 July, which is next fiscal year, but that will be covered by the budget itself. So we'll be in a position to budget for next fiscal year's expenses. And that's my thinking. There wasn't a whole lot of in-depth analysis behind the 50, other than I just felt that would give me that would be an honest, conservative estimate of what I think we're going to need to spend between now and the end of the fiscal year. And my expectation is we're below that. So I think we're going to be above her proposal and below the 50,000. That's where we have to be, but that's also where I think it's reasonable to expect.
Not necessarily expecting it to cost 50,000, but you didn't want to have to come before this commission again if it ends up being $24,001.
Correct. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I wonder if maybe we could drop it down a little bit, just if that would be reasonable, just because it was unanticipated. Obviously, we didn't know that Mr. Alexander was going to abandon us to the next stage of his life.
Glorious retirement.
That would be almost double what she has estimated.
Well, I'm thinking I'm gonna need more hours. Her
Okay.
cost per hour isn't gonna
Yeah.
change, but the number of hours, I think we're gonna need more. And I'm gonna need, I'm want to solicit her help in terms of advising us on how to reconfigure our organization and redraft the actual position description. So I see some staff time that she really doesn't allocate to a distinct like bookkeeping task. There's just sort of an executive level of support that I'm going to lean on her for. And I will also add that John's salary goes poof on the 17th of February. So it really isn't $50,000 in addition to our current burn rate. It's almost a wash when at the end of the fiscal year we stop paying John's executive salary, and the increase in the other you know, with Ruthie, she's part-time, and with April, that's a very modest increase to her pay. So we're not gonna wind up much worse financially at the end of the fiscal year by onboarding a consultant who is much less than full-time versus paying John full-time.
Right, yeah,
Yeah.
we talked about that
Yeah.
in our meeting. Did you, Ms. Perry, were you able to come up with some kind of like number on what we would not be expending because we're not covering his salary and benefits for the remainder of like the budget year?
If we continue through the 6 months, like we discussed, it's like maybe 8,000 more than we would have been spending if we're still paying John.
The 50,000 number is 8,000 more than what we would.
Yeah.
42,000.
For the next 6 months.
And that's all inclusive, like a few to see the insurance, health insurance.
That's just his pay. That doesn't-
Okay, that's what I was
It
kind of getting
doesn't
at. So it
include
sounds like a wash.
benefits?
I apologize, I did forget to put that up.
Okay. Do
Another
you,
25%,
I was gonna ask, do you have an idea of what that number is?
about a
John?
quarter.
Well, I'm already 60% through, a year, so it won't be 42,000 that's left. Straight up.
For this budget year, you mean?
Yes. So it should be a wash, pretty much.
It's gonna be very close to a wash.
Yeah. If
You
not,
mentioned
more
it's-
beneficial.
April and Ruthie, is this 50,000 blending in their increases, or 50 is strictly for
Just for the
Lancaster?
contract.
It just, in my opinion, I think it's a prudent hedge on, potential expense. She's.
We don't have to come to us for $1,200.
Yeah, it's, I mean,
Well, if we dropped it to like 40,000, I mean, if we think it's gonna be somewhere in that range, I think that adds some level of accountability too. Like, what is this person serving us the way that we hope that they're gonna be serving us through this contract? I'm just,
Did you already motion for this?
yes.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. So you'd have to, if you're interested in doing, you'd have to make a motion to
I'm
amend.
interested in having discussion about it. Just to see what
I'm-
everybody else is
I
thinking.
calculated it, if we look at saying it's 25% for his extended benefit,
Mhm.
it's gonna be about 4,000 less than what we would be paying John's position.
Okay,
If we did the 50,000 for the next 6 months.
but it's 5 months actually, because it's February through June.
Right, okay.
I'm satisfied with the 50,000 number, with the understanding that just because it's set at 50,000 doesn't necessarily it's gonna be burned all the way through.
That's right, but
That's-
normally, like for anything over 10,000, the, staff have to come to us to, for us to have a discussion about that, so.
It would be just 45,000 if we were still paying John's position.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, so we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Any comments from the residents present? Do you want to make any alternative motions?
No.
Okay. In that case, we'll have Ms. Perry call the vote for us because this is an ordinance.
It is not. It's.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm stuck one ahead. For Ms. Waver as a resolution. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Now we are on to an ordinance. Ordinance 24-1252, an ordinance of the city of Red Bank, Tennessee to amend ordinance 23-1250, the Red Bank Employee Handbook Ordinance, codified in Appendix A to the Red Bank City Code, together with all amendments thereto, and amending the Employee Handbook Ordinance codified at Appendix A to the Red Bank City Code. First reading. Ms. Perry.
As I stated in the work session, when I went out for my medical leave, it gave me a whole lot of time, so I read through the already approved manual we just approved in October. And I realized that I had overlooked something that really didn't fit into our employer of choice category. As the manual stands, anyone over the age of 65 that is still employed with the city, which loses their insurance coverage. I want to change that, if they're still employed, that they should keep the medical coverage, that way the families still have those things. So, at 65 and retired, then it will cease, because Medicare kicks in. And then the Pregnant Workers Fairness Act is a federal law that came in June, and the Pump Act, I'm not sure what time that came in. We kind of alluded to all of that in the current manual, but now it's named in the manual. Basically, pregnant workers fairness, we have to be able to accommodate our pregnant workers. If they need a little bit of time to put the feet up or to grab a snack or something. And then when they come back to work, if they are choosing to nurse their children, we have to accommodate them with a place, storage area. I can't remember what it is. But we have to give them the ability to pub and store for their children again.
All right, so we went over this in the work session, as Ms. Perry said. Do I hear a motion to approve?
I'll approve.
We have a motion from Commissioner Fairbanks Harvey. Do I hear a second?
I'll second it. Or
Okay.
you go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
We have a second from Vice Mayor Dalton. Any further discussion? Any comments from the residents present? If there are no more comments, then Ms. Perry, will you call the vote for us?
Mayor Barry,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Dalton,
Yes.
Commissioner Fairbanks Harvey,
Yes.
Commissioner Phillips,
Yes.
Commissioner Wilkinson.
Yes.
All right, motion carries on first reading. Last item for a vote is ordinance number 24-1253, an ordinance of the city of Red Bank, Tennessee, to amend the fiscal year 2024 operating budget beginning July 1st, 2023 and ending June 30th, 2024, in order to appropriate unbudgeted expenditures and loan funding in the amount of $3,498,601. First reading, Mr. Alexander.
Yes, this is, all grant funded, except for a small 20%. There's no loan funding involved in this, not in this particular one, next time I will. The 20% is for the TDOT grants, that we're obligated to pay. And it's our intention to take that 20%, shift it over to State Street aid. So the general fund won't be affected by this at all. So you got 4 TDOT grants, and we actually expect one to finish out this year. I mean, it's at the tail end, signalization. Fine.
Don't jinx it.
But anyways, and then, so that's almost $1.3 million. And then the remaining is ARPA funds. And so this is the balance left in the ARPA money that we initially received. So we've spent, $1.3 million there. Making a lot of headway with that stuff. And so this is the remaining balance, ARPA funded, and we're still working it away.
All right, thank you, John. Do I hear a motion to approve?
I'll move.
We have a motion from Vice Mayor Dalton. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
We have a second from Commissioner Wilkinson. Any further discussion? Excellent work. It's amendments like this that keep a clean audit report like we just saw. Any comments from the residents present? All right, if there are no more comments, then Ms. Perry, will you please call the roll for us?
Mayor Barry,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Dalton,
Yes.
Commissioner Fairbanks Harvey.
Yes.
Commissioner Phillips,
Yes.
Commissioner Wilkinson.
Yes.
All right, motion carries on first reading. And now is the time for citizen comments for items not on the agenda. Mr. Granum?
Thank you, Mayor. This is the time for citizen comments. Please observe these rules. Comments are limited to 3 minutes or less, and the city reporter will operate a timer on her clock. Please respect her direction and include any comments if her watch beeps. All comments should be addressed to the board as a whole and not to a particular commissioner, the city staff, or the audience. The commission is here to listen, not necessarily to respond or engage in back and forth, so please do not try to reply to public comment. At this time, citizens are invited to the podium to comment. Please begin by stating your name and address.
Anyone?
Don't be shy.
Michael McCain, 4200 Tacoma Avenue. I'm wanting to bring up the fact that the intersection of Dalton Boulevard and Morrison Springs, when you make a right-hand turn from Dayton Boulevard onto Morrison Springs, they are putting up a walk light. However, there is no stoplight for those that are turning right, and we've almost been ran over a couple of times ourselves at that intersection. So I would like for a possible review of that intersection.
Thank you, Mr. McCain. We know just the slip lane you're speaking of. Any other comments or items not on the agenda? All right. If not, then do I hear a motion to adjourn?
I'll move.
We have a motion from Commissioner Phillips. Do I hear a second?
Second.
We have a second from Commissioner Wilkinson. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Meeting adjourned. Thank you all.
I have 2 bags of stuff for you.
Oh, yeah. And I have some stuff for you and for you. So we need to go do a
Exchange.
chunk exchange.